I'm Irvin Baxter, the president and founder of End Time Ministries. I may be bringing to you today the most urgent message that I have ever brought. I want to talk to you about the plan to give you a national ID card. It will happen in 2 years. There's a prophecy in the Bible that a time will come when every person on the planet will have to have a number or a mark without which they will be unable to buy or sell. Now, such a society has been totally impossible until the last 4 or 5 years. With the invention of the computer and now the internet, we all know that you could have such a society. We all use credit cards for our transactions. Your Bible and mine specifically states that a time is coming when every person on earth will be forced to have a number, or they will be frozen out of the economy. Now, the reason I bring this up today is because in 2 years, every American is going to be forced to have such a number. On May the 11th of 2005, President Bush signed a law which was already passed by Congress that every person, every American, will have a national ID card by 2008. Without this card, you are not going to be able to drive your car, board an airplane, a train, or a bus. You'll not be able to open a bank account, enter any federal building, and you may not be able to hold a job. Now, if you can't hold a job, and if you cannot have a bank account, how much buying and selling will we be doing? It's a sobering thought. Nevertheless, it's reality. By 2008, it's already a law. Every American will be forced to have a national ID card in order to function in our society. And the most critical component of that national ID card will be your Social Security number. You'll have to have that number in order to participate in the cashless society. Now, the question automatically arises, is it even time for the fulfillment of that dreaded prophecy called the mark of the beast? All you have to do is say 666, and everybody knows what you're talking about. So is it time for that fulfillment right now, and is there a way to tell? Actually, there is, because there are several other prophecies that are supposed to come to pass at the same time as this cashless society is supposed to come to pass. Let me just name a few of them so you can follow along with me. First of all, there's a prophecy that 7 years before Armageddon, the Battle of Armageddon is when Jesus Christ comes back to the earth. The 3.5 years before Armageddon is when the mark of the beast is going to be implemented. 7 years before Armageddon, the Bible teaches that there will be a Middle East peace agreement that will be sponsored by the world community. And this Middle East peace agreement is going to deal with the status of Jerusalem and with the borders of the Holy Land, and it must be an international agreement. Well, there is such an agreement. It was actually signed by President Bush, Prime Minister of Israel Ariel Sharon, and Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinians, in June of 2003. Now, the document has not actually been implemented yet because the Jews and the Arabs have not been able to quit fighting long enough to implement it. Nevertheless, the world community continues to insist that the roadmap for peace is the plan for peace in the Middle East. If, in fact, they are able to get the roadmap for peace implemented, apparently from the time they confirm that implementation to the Battle of Armageddon is 7 years. They are working on it right now, even as I speak to you today. There's also a prophecy in the Bible that a war will begin from the area of the Euphrates River. The Bible teaches that this war will become so severe that it will kill 1/3 of mankind. Now, the interesting thing is the Euphrates River is in the nation of Iraq. About 90% of it is. And Americans have 150,000 troops in the area of Iraq and along the Euphrates River at this very moment. Now, what are we talking about here? What's going on? Well, apparently, this war that we're already in that we thought was over 2 years ago, but it's obviously not. This war is apparently going to spin out of control and kill 1/3 of mankind. Now, if that means exactly what we think it means, that's 2 billion human beings will die in this war. When does this prophecy have to come to pass? We can prove scripturally that it will come to pass before the final 3.5 years. So since we're fighting in Iraq today, all along the Euphrates River, we have to ask ourselves the question, how close really are we to the fulfillment of this prophecy? At the same time we have that prophecy, we have another prophecy about the coming Great Tribulation. Jesus is the one that spoke it in Matthew chapter number 24, verse 15 and 16. He said, when you see an event called the abomination of desolation, then those that live in the area of Judea should run for their lives. He said, because then shall be great tribulation, such as never has been before, nor ever again shall be. Jesus Christ specifically said that it's the clash in Judea that's going to trigger the Great Tribulation. Now, we know the Great Tribulation lasts for the last 3.5 years of the 7-year period. The Bible's explicitly clear that the Great Tribulation will be that final 3.5 year period immediately before Armageddon. Jesus said, when you see the abomination of desolation, those people in Judea must immediately flee, because then shall be great tribulation, such as never has been before, nor ever again shall be. Now, why do I bring that up? Because Israel, as I speak, is building a wall to separate Israel proper from the area that Jesus referred to, the area of Judea. You and I know it as the West Bank. That is Judea. This wall is supposed to be completed by the end of 2007. Ehud Olmert, the acting prime minister of Israel and the front runner to win the election scheduled for March 28, 2006, has already stated that Israel will be withdrawing from the West Bank, from Judea, leaving it to the Palestinians. However, there are many Jewish people that know this is their promised land. They say, we're not leaving. Could it be that Israel will leave them behind and they will be left under the rulership of the Palestinians? Jesus said such a scenario will inevitably produce a horrible bloodbath. He called it the Great Tribulation. Finally, there's this prophecy of the rebuilding of the temple. The Bible teaches the temple has to be rebuilt on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Now, you have to understand, there has not been a temple on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem for 2,000 years.